I'll be walking you through how to replace the cam plug as well as the valve cover gasket. So in this episode, I'll show you the tools that you'll need, I'll show you the parts you'll need to do this, and I'll give you the knowledge so that you can do it right at home in your garage. Stay tuned, let's get these parts swapped out. So real quick, this is the tools I'm going to be using. I have a 3/8 impact with a 10mm socket, a flathead screwdriver, 14mm wrench, a torque wrench so that I can use my 10mm socket to torque back down the cam cap. I have a pair of pliers. These are just needle nose with a 45-degree angle. I have a electric ratchet with a 14mm socket. Not necessarily necessary, but you'll need a little dab of silicone. And only other thing I can really recommend is probably some paper towels or some rags or something like that. All right, so I went to my local AutoZone and picked up these parts. Felpro is not my preferred choice valve cover gasket because these are kind of like a one-time use. So once you use them one time and pull it back off or something, this blue part here tends to swell and it's really hard to reinstall. So good for a one-time use. If you're going to be taking it off and on multiple times, I would probably recommend using an OEM gasket because they're a little better quality. They don't swell. This one kind of swells a little bit. And then I got this camshaft plug. This is like it's a different style than what comes on these CRVs OEM, but this is more like a VTEC style, and these are actually a better seal. These are much better seal. It's a little more work to put these on, but much better seal. So that's the part number for it if you're interested in getting this style. And then this is the part number for the valve cover gasket. So if you're just replacing this cap with an OEM style cap, you can take a flathead screwdriver and just get under the edge of it, and they'll pop out like that. It's just got these little 4 tabs that hold it on. So if you had an OEM style replacement, you could just take it and pop it right back in here. All right, and then you're done. So it's got 2 long lines on here and try to make those parallel with the head. That's all it would be. If you wanted to put a little bit of silicone on the seal, you could, but most of the time it doesn't require any. We're not reusing this style, so it'll be a little different. All right, so you can see here, this is the OEM one, and this is the one we're replacing it with. You can get one like this from Honda, but you won't be ordering it for a CRV. You'll be ordering it for like a Civic SI or like a Del Sol with the B16. But you can see the difference. So we'll have to take the valve cover off to get this style on. Thankfully, I'm taking the valve cover off anyway to replace the valve cover gasket. So I'm gonna show you how to do that. All right, so on these, to take the valve cover off, first we'll just go ahead and take the plug wires off. Just squeeze them on each side, pull up. Pretty straightforward. We'll pull up on this whole bracket here and it comes up. And we can lay that to the side. Don't worry about confusing those because they're different lengths, and as long as you don't take them off the distributor, you're fine. All right, and then we have to remove this upper plenum, 4 bolts. These are all 10mm. And this just pulls straight up. All right, and then we'll remove the PCV valve. Just wiggle it, it should come out. This 10mm out right here for our ground strap. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 10mm nuts that holds this valve cover on. And so once you get all the nuts off, you can take the throttle cable, just pull it up, set it to the side. There's a little bracket here. Now if you have a 97 and 98, it's not going to have this bracket because your intake comes up higher and it don't have the upper plenum. If you have a 99 2001, you have this little bracket. All right, so we have to get this power steering bracket off here. And it's a 14. So we'll just use the wrench to break it loose, and then you take it out by hand. That's the bolt out of it. So once that's out, you can just take this bracket and fold it over out of the way. All right, and then we'll take our pliers, slide the spring clamp back, so we can get our breather hose off. And then we'll just pull up on the valve cover a little bit, and then these washers should come loose. Sometimes they stay stuck to the valve cover, and that's fine. You can get them off once you get the valve cover off. I got all 7 of those. And pull up and take that off. Take our old valve cover gasket off. All right, so now to install the new cam plug, we need to remove this cap. So these 4 bolts, 2 of those are loose. All right, so take these 4 10 mils out. All right, and you take your flathead and get on the edge here and get it separated. And so while I have the cap out, I just clean all the old silicone off of it if it has any, since it's just easier to get to it. Clean it up a little bit, and also wiping down the inside here, the mating surface for the new seal. So now with our new plug, I've just got a couple dabs of gray RTV on here, and then I'll just take that and kind of spread it around. This just ensures a really good seal. So, see how I got that on there all the way around. I'm gonna take that and just set it in there like that. And then we'll take the cap. And put it back on there like so. And then put our bolts back on here. So I'm not gonna tighten them with this impact and just run them down. All right, and then I'll use my torque wrench, and the torque spec on these is like 8.7 foot-pounds. So I've got my torque wrench. Mine only does half-pound increments, so I got it set on 8.5, and we'll go just a smidge over. Make sure you don't over torque those, because they will break off in the head, and it is a doozy to get those out. Can't tell you how many of those I fixed in the past. Since these 2 were loose whenever I started, I'm just gonna check the rest of them, make sure they're all good and tight. Now this is a perfect time to go ahead and adjust the valves too. If you like to do a valve adjustment, just make sure the engine's cool. If you're interested in seeing the procedure how to do a valve lash adjustment, check the link right up here. So now I guess we'll continue with reinstalling the valve cover. All right, so to begin with, I'm going to clean off this mating surface where the valve cover mates to the head, and just use I just got a paper towel, and try to make sure you're wiping kind of away from the head so that you're not wiping any dirt or anything into the head. Instead you're wiping it off. All right, and if you've got any little silicone bits here in these corners, just take your flat head and you can scrape those out. Again, scraping away from the inside of the head. All right, so that's decently clean now. Not perfect, but it's decent. It's good enough. All right, so we'll go ahead and prep our valve cover now. Get the old gasket out, get the new gasket in, get old silicone off of here. All right, so this is our old gasket, and we're also replacing these tube seals, so they just pull up. If they don't want to come out easily, just use your flathead and get under them and pull them out. Sometimes these get hard, and it makes them a little more difficult to come out. And if your spark plugs are surrounded with oil, this is probably why. All right, so to install the new tube seals, just press them down on there. Pretty straightforward. And also they have a little lip, so the little lip goes up like so, because if you try to flip it over, it's not going to go in very easy. So if you can even get it in, the little lip comes up. Here's our actual valve cover gasket. Pretty straightforward on how to put it on here. You can see it's already being a pain on the pop out of the groove and stuff. Felpro is definitely not my choice of gasket for a valve cover gasket on a B series. It's really not. They stretch and all this other mess, and just the Permadry oil pan gasket, can't beat it. So now we'll just put a little dab of silicone on each of the, we'll just put a dab of silicone on each little corner here. Doesn't take a whole lot. A lot of people like Honda Bond, and I do too, but Honda Bond's kind of expensive. This is just some Permatex Ultra Gray, and Ultra Gray works perfectly. So now this is ready to be reinstalled back onto the car. All right, so to install it, you can see how that gasket's trying to pop out. I just kind of hold it here and here, just to kind of help support the gasket, keep it in there where it belongs. So we'll just go over, line it up, and press it down, just like that. Now, typically these gaskets come with grommets, you know, the new grommets for where they bolt down, but apparently this one didn't come with grommets. So I'm just gonna take the old grommets. I took a towel and wiped them off, and I'm just gonna put a little silicone on the bottom of them just to help them seal. Not my preferred way to do it, but I guess it'll have to work today. All right, so I've got all 6 of those on, or 7 of those on rather. Now we can put our little bracket on the back here. And then reinstall the nuts. Before you put these 2 on, put your throttle cable back on here. Now, these don't have to be super tight. Break them too. I'm just taking my little impact, snugging them down. All right, so you can see I didn't get excessive with that. I was just snugging them, right? That's all you need to do. All right, then we'll reinstall our ground strap, a 10mm bolt. Reinstall our power steering hose bracket, 14mm. Kind of tighten this by hand, or if you want to be like me, use the ratchet. Put our PCV valve back on. Upper intake plenum, it just slides back on here, like so. Put our 4 bolts back in. Tighten those down with a 10mm. Again, not super tight. And then we install our breather hose back on here. Use our pliers to secure the clamp. And then we can reinstall our plug wires. Again, you can see how they're all different lengths. Now we're done with reassembly. Now I'm gonna clean this up and make it look real nice. Cleaning the engine is always so satisfying to me. How I can go from something that's so nasty to something that's so semi-clean, at least. I mean, I can really do a better job than what I just did. This is just a quick rinse off to get most of this old oil off here. You have to be very careful when pressure washing on these, because I mean, you can see most of the old powder coating on these valve covers is pretty brittle, and it was coming off fairly easy. If you're really concerned with your powder coat coming off, you know, I probably wouldn't pressure wash it. Also, be sure that when you're pressure washing not to soak the distributor, because it can get water inside the distributor and it causes a misfire. Also, if you get water up here on top of the valley, it can go down around your plug wires and get around your spark plug, and then it can also cause a misfire. So if you start having some misfires after cleaning one off, take these plug wires out and make sure there's not water down in your tube hole. Usually if it's in one, it's going to be in number 1 cylinder, which is here, because it's over in this hole pretty much. If it's on this side, it can drain out.